Welcome back to Cybertopia. We're currently between seasons, but I've got a fun few things lined up for the next month or so as we build up to Season 3. This ep is a group interview of the side cast members we had for the seasonal specials that aired between Seasons 1 and 2, Nicholas Udell, Erin Brioche, and Enfys Prank. It's worth noting that we did actually record this over a year ago, and it's chatting about stuff that happened like a year before that, so some of it might sound a little bit hazy on the details. Welcome back to Cybertopia Interviews. This is a special interview for the special cast that played in the specials for Halloween and Christmas episodes back in 2023, I want to say? Yeah, that sounds right. So tonight I've got with me Bisected Brioche, Enfys Prank, and Nicholas Udell. So yeah, why don't we go through each of you one by one, and you can introduce yourself quickly and tell us what you remember of your characters that you played like 18 months ago. So let's start with Bree.
Okay, so my character is Angelina Coffeeburn Appledelly, who uses she/they pronouns. Oh, I'm Erin Brioche.
I'd forgotten the whole name. That's, yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a deep cut references.
Of course.
So I'm Erin Brioche. I use she/they because he doesn't want to be feared.
And what was Angel like? Angel being the shortened version of the name.
Yep, obviously she goes by Angel or Coffeeburn online.
Of course.
She was basically not necessarily the head of IT, but an IT person at Amazing Core. She's basically very tired, makes a difference with coffee.
Yes. Oh, yes, I remember you using the coffee flask item several times during the sessions.
Yep, and she's also got +1 coffee pad as a skill. And of course, to help just manage her, keep her a bit more stable, she's been provided with her loyal pet, Coil, the forklift certified squirrel.
Yes. Oh, Coil was great. And again, a deep cut reference to the very first time we played together, I think, when I ran Overgrown for you lot in my very first ever online stream. Way back when.
Yep.
God, can't remember when that was. Long time ago.
Yep, I remember the sort of face paint. Well, I actually just used a normal makeup palette for it, but I remember it well.
Excellent. And yeah, that was on Nick's channel. So Nick, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your character?
I'm Nick, aka his cursedness, and I played Doris in Cybertopia, who uses she/her pronouns. She works for, or did work at one point, worked for Amazing Corp's HR division, and was just a huge fan of three things. One, Hyperbridge, the Battle Royale game. 2, the rules, and 3, enforcing them.
Yeah, the Hyperbridge thing was like a key thing throughout the whole of the sessions that we did. Do you still remember any of the terms from way back then?
No.
You had like a whole list of things you referenced, like and actually were all apparently real things that nobody ever checked because we just trusted you.
They were all contract bridge terms, and there are loads of terms in Contract Bridge, which apparently is like the most strategic game ever made or something like that. It's League of Legends for old people.
I like to think that when you're playing Hyperbridge, you're like shouting the terms out as you're playing them, like it's some sort of anime or something.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Well, muttering them under her breath usually because she's doing it in the office on the work computers.
Yeah. Yeah, and finally, Enfys, why don't you tell us about what you can remember of your character?
Gwyn, who I remember is a short, grease-covered dungarees wearing, usually pretty preppy kind of person, you know? I believe I went neutral on the pronouns with Gwyn, so they, them, same as my own.
That's about right, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were like some sort of maintenance worker, grease monkey kind of person.
Yeah. Yeah. Engineering, you know, mechanical, electrical. If it needed fixing, that was who you were calling.
Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, this was during a period where everything you were doing was a goblin, basically.
Kobold.
Kobold, that was it, yeah.
I mean, I'm still kobold leaning. Of course, I always will be.
I similarly to how Bree is always tiefling leaning.
Yes.
I didn't mention it earlier, but obviously Angel is my attempt to sort of retrofit tieflings into this game.
Easily done. So, yeah, you three as Angel, Doris, and Gwyn took part in the Halloween special, which I think I originally planned it to be a bit more spooky than it turned out to be, but it still worked out quite fun. And then after that, into the Christmas special. Does anybody really remember much at all of what happened during those sessions?
Yes.
Smatterings of bits and pieces. At some point, I'm going to remember something hilarious, I know, but it's been a long time.
I remember the three of you, though you were all colleagues within Amazing Corp, you never worked directly together, really, and the coming together of you all was almost hostile. In fact, I think I remember that the first time the three of you all came together was Doris running down the hallway, telling Gwyn and Angel to stop hacking a door.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because that's against the rules. You can't be doing that. There's regulations. There's a whole employee handbook.
And of course, I think actually that may have been the first occurrence of any PvP I've ever done in this system. And it was a bureaucracy PvP.
Oh, yeah, because I think Angel and Gwyn both tried to basically sort of hack Doris's tablets and stuff to try and stop her reporting us, as I recall.
Yeah.
Wait, I think Gwyn sort of got the Wi-Fi as well.
Yeah, something like that. So you hacked through that first door eventually and got through to find a AI drone that had gone a bit wonky, and then you got into like the R&D area of the building that none of you had ever been into before. And Gwyn was a fiend for wanting to get into places they'd not been. Because obviously Enfys cannot play a game where they don't press the big red button. So obviously you had to have that.
You know,
Yeah,
Gwyn was all about the main. Gwyn had access to damn near everywhere because something breaks, you've got to be able to get into there. But we're not allowed in that place. Excuse you.
Yeah, if you're running a game for Enfys, you've got to put a big red button somewhere. It's just polite.
Yep.
Yeah. And in that R&D lab that you got into was another generic NPC that I have forgotten the name of. I think I just default to calling everyone Lauren or some variation of that. So it may have been a Lauren or a Laura or something. And the lab was full of something that I don't think anyone else from the podcast, though I'm sure a decent chunk of them have actually listened to those episodes, I don't think anyone's really picked up on it or brought it back to relevance as regarding their characters. But it was a whole bunch of clone tubes, basically. And yeah, you all did a fair bit of poking around. The drone tried to hack into them or tried to do something. There was definitely something weird with the drone that I think one of you ended up like taking the drone out or like acquiring the drone. Something along those lines.
I think it was sort of, again, a sort of joint effort between Gwyn and Angel sort of trying to simultaneously hack it and mess with its hardware.
Yes. Whilst Doris did her usual thing of occupying the NPC with inane chatter, I think she may have also been a Hyperbridge player. The Hyperbridge really came in quite a lot.
Yeah, I think she was actually like some sort of fangirl of Doris's.
Yeah. Yeah, she knew Doris as a player.
That's right, yeah.
In the Christmas episode, sort of brought it back by
Yeah.
suggesting Angel's grandma was also a fan.
What? Does anybody remember Doris's handle?
These nuts.
D's nuts. Oh,
That's
my God.
it, yeah.
Of course, Doris D's nuts. Yep. Oh, God. It's the funniest image of some kind of middle-aged lady who is also deeply into a kind of action-y video game. Yeah, we never really defined quite how it works, but the whole idea of it, just some older lady shouting down a mic at other players who aren't doing their jobs properly.
Honestly, I'm calling it we are 1 to 2 years away from someone meshing together something like Balatro and Fortnite and making Hyperbridge real. It's gonna happen. We're gonna get a Battle Royale card game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe... Wait, isn't that just like the Magic the Gathering? And
Well, I mean, we've already had, what, Tetris 99, the Battle
That's
Royale
what
Tetris,
I was thinking
so
of, right?
we're gonna get Hyperbridge. It's only a matter of time.
I was talking yesterday about multiplayer solitaire, and just the whole idea is just totally antithetical, but it's going to happen, right?
Yep.
wow, To be fair, you've always been able to just set up a game of solitaire and play it with someone else.
Couch
Yeah,
co-op.
that's weird. Couch co-op solitaire.
Exactly. Just like, that one scene from NCIS where they're both typing on the keyboard.
Yes. Split screening it. Yeah. So you discovered the weird clones in the lab and managed to kind of take out the drone. And then I forget what drew you into the next room, but the next room was full of mechs who were themed around potential Lancer mechs that you were discussing around that time, because that was just before we kicked off the Lancer campaign.
So much shotgun.
Or just before we started talking about the Lancer campaign. It was a long time since then, since we actually started it.
Yeah, I think actually the one with the shotgun, which was kind of sort of, well, I think it's still what Nick's going for, ended up being the one that did the most sort of stuff, I think.
Are you still going shotguns, Nick? I forget.
I am nothing but shotguns, Ben.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was fun. I'd had a mech piloting character before, but being able to bring mechs back into the game was a lot of fun. They've not come back in Series 2 yet, but hopefully they do at some point, because everyone likes mechs.
Yeah, I think that was actually the point where Coil became sort of forklift certified, because somehow she sort of ended up piloting the mech.
Yeah, I think between the three of you, you managed to get a maintenance hatch or something open on that first mech, and Coil climbed inside and took control somehow. And yeah, what an amazing visual of a squirrel piloting a mech.
Yeah, can't believe we predicted that one Overwatch character who's a hamster in a mech.
Wait, that's a thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. I think also that this is where we discovered that Doris's big, I forget what was on it. She had a big stamp that turned out to be themed kind of like an Amy Rose style hammer.
Yes, it was a stamp that had denied.
That was it. I was thinking rejected, but that feels wrong. Denied. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. And yeah, you smashed up your own mech, Nick.
Yeah. I denied it the chance to live.
And I think the idea was that the data broker had hacked this drone. I think in the very first episode of Cybertopia, the data broker hacks into Amazing Corp systems through a data device that they provide to the players. And the idea is that hack then led into them getting access to this drone, which then got into the secret R&D areas thanks to yourselves. And that hack then leaped from that drone, once you destroyed it, to the mechs in this hangar. And once you destroyed them, I think the back door somehow got opened. Probably because Gwyn was just so curious to find out what was on the other side of that door.
I think I did dedicate a fair amount of time to
Yeah.
getting it some amount of open, yeah.
Yeah, whilst the other two were keeping the mechs occupied in their various ways, you snuck out to the back to see what was out there. And I think it was like some sort of open hangar to the outside world or something.
Yes.
We didn't elaborate too much.
Like a helipad type thing, if I remember rightly. Yeah.
And that kind of comes back full circle in about a year's time, probably, from recording. There's going to be some interesting developments by the time this actually comes out. And I am hoping to bring either all three of you together or bits of you one by one into the future episodes, because I think it's really fun to involve more people in my projects. And yeah, season 2 has had a lot more people involved with all the NPC voiceovers I've been doing. Actually, I did just do a NPC version of Doris in one of the episodes. So Nick will be getting you to do some voiceover at some point in the future.
I look forward to it.
Hopefully I've managed to do Doris justice in that, because I was desperately trying to remember what her accent was, even though I was going to get you to voice it over anyway. But she had it was kind of an American kind of drawl, right?
Yep, that's right. A sort of, well, all right there, darling. How you doing?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was trying to imagine a old diner lady kind of vibe.
Yeah, that's what I had in mind. Yeah.
The hint of southern Texas.
Yeah, just a little bit, not overdone like some of my other characters, but just a little bit.
So that was the first session you did. That was the Halloween one. After that, you got somewhat demoted because you were the only ones in the building at that time, and some things went wrong, and you got blamed for it.
Even though we canonically covered it up so well.
Yeah, you got caught. I can't remember how I justified you getting caught, but you got caught. And so you got busted down to the mail room, which for some reason in 2055, internal office mail still exists, and you were positioned there. And it was the Christmas episode next up. And I think we started you all off at the Christmas party, where there was obviously some fun roleplay interactions going on there. I think at this point, Angel's horns, like she had cybernetic horns or something, they'd been transformed into antlers.
Yeah, she has. Well, my idea is she's basically got some sort of hacking rig built into her brain, and she's got sort of horn-like heat sinks that come out of her skull. Because, as I said, trying to make a tiefling here.
Yeah, I forget. Did you actually have a tail?
Yeah, I think she has sort of like a data cable tail, so she can plug herself into computers, which I actually did recycle for my Lance character, oddly enough. As I recall, I think the sort of excuse I gave for why she had the antler horns was because I think I said her girlfriend and her grandma changed them out while she was undergoing some sort of maintenance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so the Christmas episode, another fun one, where you got sent to the North Pole to deal with Sam the Claus. And discovered he'd gone a bit wonky in his isolation.
Yeah, that was a more horrifying episode than the Halloween one. What the hell's wrong with you?
It really was.
Yeah. I think sometimes I write these things and don't realise what I've written until afterwards.
What he was doing to that poor reindeer.
Oh, yeah, he had the poor reindeer. He was notionally looking after it, or at least he thought he was.
Play with me, Kris Kringle.
I think we ended up trying to release the reindeer to the wild.
Yeah, I think you did. You managed it.
Yeah.
It was semi-hungover because he'd been feeding it eggnog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter how you slice it, that is not healthy for a reindeer.
No,
I mean, it's not healthy for anything, even humans. So, yeah.
Yeah, but humans are unusually good at digesting alcohol and caffeine and other such substances.
Is there caffeine in eggnog? I don't know what eggnog is.
I don't know.
It's a milk egg drink, I think, with alcohol in it.
That doesn't sound tempting. I don't know why Americans like that.
It's weirdly tasty, I gotta say. It's like drinking custard, basically. Alcoholic custard.
Yeah, there's a similar drink you can get called Avocat, which I think is some language or other's name for a lawyer. Make of that what you will, but it's basically the same thing. Sort of pops up around Christmas as well.
Yeah, I think my nan used to like that stuff.
Yeah, it's very yellow.
And I think this was a relatively straightforward one of you went in there and convinced him to stop doing his shit and like sorted out the factory that it turned into a Santa's Grotto themed place full of elf robots. And you released the reindeer into the wild. And I forget, did you try and help him? I think you tried to help him, right?
I believe we basically think the premise was it was sort of like an old terminal, so he was basically able to order infinite resources, and Angel tried to use it to basically hack amazing core systems to undo our firings, and that went pear-shaped.
Yes, that's why you got caught. Yeah, that was it. And I think you were like one off on the roll to avoid being detected, and it was some. I think Doris had done something that had led on to Angel then having a trauma of some kind that played into that to reduce the roll by 1, so you'd miss it by 1. Oh, and Doris had one of my favourite moments of the whole game where she tried to seduce Sam the Claus.
I forgot about that. Oh no.
And initially I think it was just like talking to him about stationery or something, very innocent, and that didn't work. So I think Nick just panicked. It was like she started taking off her jumper.
I think the plan was to buy everyone else time and distract Santa Claus, but that's where it went.
Yeah. And I think simultaneously, Gwyn may have been hacking a big elf robot or something, maybe?
There was definitely something mechanical / electrical I was trying to do.
It was a whole factory.
To escape me. Yeah.
I think I recall it ended up getting tied up with Christmas lights or something, didn't it?
That sounds...
Possibly,
right,
because decorative Christmas lights were one of my items, because it replaced the coil of wire that I always had with me. Because you never know when you need spare wiring.
Didn't you have duct tape as well? That was one of your things.
Goose tape.
Goose tape. That's
Trim
it. Oh, it's all coming back. Yes.
Yeah.
Like duct tape, but more horrible.
I think that's one of the things that I really liked about these sessions. You were just kind of ordinary workers and you had ordinary worker gear. It's none of this like the main podcast where people have guns and weapons and things. You just like office supplies.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were not secret agents.
Yeah. Like a standard office therapy scroll.
Yeah, of course. And a big stamp for some reason. Yeah. But yeah, so you managed to resolve the whole Santa Claus North Pole situation, but you did get caught by head office tampering with the account systems and as a result got fired. And then you're sent out into the world. I was fairly loose with the timings of all of this in regards to like the actual podcast. The chronology of it all is a bit airy-fairy, which I have done throughout, even in season 2. But I think this was supposed to take place just after the season 1 finale of the podcast. And that's why you lot were sent instead of someone more dedicated to this sort of task. And then you get fired and you're sent out into the world. Kind of simultaneous to the timing of the Tabula Rasa agents all getting screwed over and blown up in a big building. Except they are all thought dead. You lot are just fired and out of the job. And I guess Doris devastated by this news because she was wholly dedicated to Amazing Corps.
Yeah, she would have rather been shot by Amazing Corp than you handed her whatever the equivalent Cybertopia version of a P45 is. A P45,000 or whatever.
Yeah, probably. It's only 30 years in the future, so it's...
A P45,000 then.
Yep, sure.
I mean, you never know. P45 could just be like a model of gun by then.
It's half a P90.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so she probably took it real hard. Like, real hard. I think in many ways she wants to get back and just thinks this has all been a mistake, and if she can present her case enough times, they'll let her back, but they won't. Or at least until such a time as something very dramatic happens, I very much doubt they will. But I don't think she's accepted that yet. I think she's still in denial.
Something dramatic happening on a podcast, Nick. Never.
You never know. Well, I didn't want to tie your hands. Just say it's never happening. That's it. Plot decided by a person who's been in 2 episodes.
Doris has been plot armored throughout. How would the other 2 react to getting fired? Gwyn, what would Gwyn do after being fired from Amazing Corp?
Initially, it'd be like, oh my god, what do I do with my life now? But I think after, it's taking a little bit of time to let the dust settle, be calm, I think Gwyn would go a little bit sort of into the grayer area of mech and electrical engineering side of things, and maybe set up some kind of media platform where they encourage the spreading the information of how to fix and hack your way through personal technological items. So like the Amazing Core equivalents of like your iPads, your phones, laptops, TVs.
In Cybertopia, the main social media system is called Headspace. So would Gwyn have like their own Headspace channel? Would be showing people how to like DIY hack your own tech systems and stuff?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And depending on how this works legally within the system, it may be something that Gwyn has to do anonymously. Mm-hmm. Mask where they're uploading from and things like that. And that's all fine.
Yeah.
And if it were in any way doable, and I imagine it is somehow, they'd end up with a little fan base, a little following that gives them regular donations, which is just enough to live on.
I like that a lot. I mean, there is a character in the main podcast who has as an item in their character sheet, unusual fan base. So it stands to reason that Gwyn could have their own unusual fan base within their own kind of sphere of influence, because that other unusual fan base is more of a documentarian Steve Irwin kind of character.
That's
very
cool.
different. And yeah, so Angel, what would Angel do after getting fired?
In her vague backstory, my thinking is that she has a sort of an extended family. So obviously, in game, it's mentioned she has a girlfriend and a grandma at least. And my thinking is they're all sort of anarchists, and she's like the black sheep of the family who try to get a corporate job. So I think she'd probably be moved toward they'd pushing her to try and do something a bit more productive. But also, I think she's a habitual overworker. So what she'd do is basically she'd contract herself out. You know how in video games you have like someone just speaking to the main character.
Uh-huh.
I think she'd be like that, but for like half a dozen different people at once.
She'd be offering herself up as the person in the chair sort of thing.
Yeah, so she'd be like, yes, don't worry, the lift's going to be down in just a few more minutes. Just hang on. Like, oh, yep, sure. Do you want me to save your data? I can do that. Would you like some squirrel fags?
Excellent. I'm trying to think, if her gran is like 60, 70, then she'd be from, oh god, she's probably from our era. She'd be a millennial.
Yeah.
So a millennial come anarchist grandma in 2055.
Yeah, and canonically a huge fan of Doris.
Yes. Oh god, yeah. We have to get you all back just to have all of these extra things come in, because this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So what I've kind of planned forward is that you all get jobs at the CSP, the Citizen Safety Patrol, which is like the kind of the remainders of government organizations. Like Amazing Core does all the profitable, cool stuff, and then the CSP runs the city municipal stuff, like city records and the justice system, and I don't know, sewerage and rubbish collection, all the boring things that Amazing Core doesn't want to get involved in. And Doris works down in the archives section, probably like what used to be the city hall. And you probably get these jobs fairly soon after leaving Amazing Corp. Maybe 2, 4, 6 weeks afterwards, being a bit airy-fairy with the timing chronologically again. But yeah, if Doris takes up a job in the archives, I'd imagine Gwyn gets a side gig as like maintenance of some sort. And Angel, of course, would end up in IT somewhere in the IT realms of the CSP. But yeah, that's probably as much detail as I'll put into it. And then we can figure out from there what exactly you lot would be doing with your lives. Doris, obviously, still doing the hyperbridge.
Oh, yes. It's probably taken a slight backseat to repeatedly mailing Amazing Corp executives or even middle managers or low-tier managers begging for her job back and another chance to prove herself, which that's become sort of an obsession of hers of late, which she's really sort of thrown herself into. So, yeah, been lax a little on the hyperbridge, but still doing it. It's still there.
Every new letter referencing an even more obscure byline in Amazing Core legislation policies.
Yeah. Oh, that's why she's ended up in archives, so she can get all of the little things and the statutes and stuff. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, she's basically on the verge of becoming a sovereign citizen then.
Yeah, that's what she. But about specifically company bylaws and employee handbook rules.
It was never technically fired because they put her slip was hand in goldenrod instead of plain paper.
Yeah, so because she hasn't spent as much time, because when you're a top tier hyperbridge player, you've got to practice like 3 or 4 hours a day minimum. So because of that, she's kind of getting rusty on her marionette bids and on her L-Robs.
Have you just looked up another glossary of bridge terms again?
She's still a kibitzer sometimes, but she struggles with the jump raises and, hasn't done a successful Grosvenor Gambit since she left.
And she just doesn't know the current meta.
That's it. She doesn't know the meta. It's all goulash now.
We've reopened a hyperfixation of Nick's again here, haven't we?
I am on the Wikipedia list of contract bridge terms.
I think we've just reopened a tab on his browser.
I can't stress this enough. There's like 30 words per letter of the alphabet in contract bridge. That's how many terms there are.
And of course, this is expanded when it becomes hyper.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
So do you think that Doris would use any underhand tactics to try and get back into Amazing Core, or is she doing it all by the rules and all legally?
All by the rules. All by the rules. That might change as she gets more desperate, but for now she is certain that she belongs in Amazing Corp and that this is simply a mistake she can rectify by following the rules.
How about the other two? Would Gwyn or Angel want to get back into Amazing Corp? What would be their stance on that?
I think Gwyn ended up there in the first place more by happenstance than anything else. Like, there was a reason why, however many years that Gwyn had been there, Gwyn was still bottom rung, is that they were never inspired by the idea of climbing the corporate ladder in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So being pushed out of Amazing Corp just means they've been driven to do something more akin to their personal philosophy sort of thing.
Uh-huh. It's pushed them into their independence.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was shown when things went skewiff the first time round, and they were given an opportunity to get into somewhere they'd been denied, which turned out just to be R&D. Like, why are you classifying what is basically just scientific development? This kind of knowledge should be spread to the world. And people shouldn't be denied access to knowledge and how to do things, which is how they end up leaning into the whole Headspace hacker online presence.
Do you think they'd be doing their own kind of scientific experimentation and trying to do increasingly fancy stuff?
Possibly. Not initially, but if it...
Because their curiosity been piqued to the point of, like, they want to be able to make their own mechs or something.
I suppose the big issue there would be getting the tools and materials needed for it.
Mm-hmm.
There would definitely be discussions with people online about that sort of thing. And then if that could progress to figuring out how they can get the materials, then I think that is something that Gwyn would absolutely pursue if it were feasible.
Okay, I have an excellent idea of how to bring Gwyn in and have them interact with potentially some of the other main cast that we will discuss offline.
Oh, that's exciting.
Ooh.
This definitely brings up some interesting points. How about Angel? Does Angel want back in Amazing Corp?
Yeah, I think from Angel's perspective, trying to get a corporate job was an experiment that sort of failed. So probably similar to Gwyn, she's probably not going to really want to go back. Like, she might see sort of Doris hanging around, be like, okay, maybe we should send her back there just so she's not a threat to anyone. But I think, like I said, she's probably just going to be, experimenting, trying something new with her career. Hence the aforementioned contracting herself out to various people to help them remotely.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, there's a lot of groups and individuals in Paradigm City, which is named the city. There's a lot of those kinds of people and groups that are in need of some support. So yeah, I definitely imagine that being quite a sought after thing, and probably some of the factions that have been introduced during season 2 would subcontract out to people like yourself for their more technical requirements. Do you think the three of you would have stayed in contact at all?
I think Angel would have probably stayed in contact with Gwyn.
I was thinking that, yeah.
Maybe not so much with Doris. Yeah.
Would you have kept tabs on Doris?
Definitely. Like, she's probably, just got a bot just logging activity on the Hyperbridge forums.
Ooh.
I think Doris would have contacted Angel at least to try to get essentially email addresses or the equivalent thereof of anyone who works at Amazing Corp who might be able to reinstate her to her position. Whether that worked or not, I don't know, but she would have tried that.
I think Angel would have at the very least helped with that. Not necessarily for free, mind you.
But I think otherwise she probably would not have seen Gwyn and Angel as anything more than colleagues and, potentially the cause of her downfall.
But Angel looks so trustworthy.
My presumption of Doris's impressions of Gwyn is that Gwyn is too eager to be a rule breaker to be somebody that she would want to associate with all that often. Avoid if possible, sort of deal.
I suppose for Doris, Gwyn and Angel are a means to an end. They're a resource to be used and not anything else.
Yeah.
And I suppose the other two, Doris is a potential threat to them because Doris will absolutely throw them under the bus if we will get her back in Amazing Corp.
Oh, yes.
I mean, Gwyn wouldn't be giving it that much thought, to be honest. We've all been fired. That is the end of it. Gwyn's perspective of this is that it's time to move on. Let bygones be bygones, and we'll move forward. There is no thought in Gwyn's mind that somebody might use any details of the past to make things worse for them now.
Fair. I guess Gwyn's very much a live in the moment kind of person, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fair. Of the things that you have listened to of the podcast, does anyone have any favourite characters or favourite episodes or moments or anything that anybody remembers?
My actual favourite episode, I think, is episode 1 and 2, because it was a two-part.
The nightclub mission.
The nightclub mission, because I just think it was a fantastic introduction and just a particular fan of the antics they got up to. And I've got to say, I'm a massive fan of Keith's character, especially. And also, it was Jeff and Pan and
KO,
that was it.
Yeah.
And I just think the four of them worked really well together on that, like considering they presumably hadn't played before. And you're sort of getting these characters feeling out for how they work well together. By the end of it, it felt like they'd played 10, 15 sessions.
Yeah.
It was really good. And just how evil Cookie Standard is in my mind.
Cookie Standard's great. He gets so much worse as well. Like season 2, he is... I've just let Keith get into his grubbiest, sleaziest car salesman kind of thing. Like, it's excellent. And actually, one of the other characters, I think it's Jen, her character, Maurice, is like describing Keith to an NPC and trying to like, have you seen this guy? He's like sleazy car salesman, but like the bad kind.
That's exactly right, though. That is exactly right.
How about you, Bree? Any favourite moments or characters or anything?
I think the standout episode for me was Greenhouse of Terror 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because of how sort of chaotic it got.
Oh, yeah, that was mad.
Yeah.
Like, I say this every time I run this game of, DICE seem to know that 1s and 20s are significant in this system. And, like, I was just running last weekend a couple of con games of it. And so many nat 20s and so many nat 1s. And, yeah, on that particular Greenhouse of Error episode, they were all over the shop. And it just works out so wonderfully. The chaos really comes together in it all. Of course, it takes a little bit of shepherding to make sure it actually results in a feasible kind of story.
I don't think you asked Enfys what their favourite moments were, by the way.
That's because I don't have one, Bree. I would need to listen to it.
Presumably you know a little bit about cyberpunk settings and stuff. Is there any kinds of stories that you think would be really cool to see explored in this kind of setting?
Oh, no, that's a question.
That's a good question. Let me think on that for a sec.
I mean, I'm always big on the whole transhumanism ASOP thing, Obviously, modifying your body can help you, but also if someone owns the modifications, that can be used to control you, that sort of business.
Oh, okay. I was thinking down the kind of Shipperthesius thing of like, if you replace all your parts, are you still who you were? But yeah, that's also another thing of like, who owns you?
I feel like that's pretty much the defining factor of cyberpunk.
I think the bit that always interests me, it's fairly similar actually, is the question of if you can clone a brain state, is there such thing as an original? And will the two separate brain states diverge and how quickly from each other? So if you cloned a person and put that person's thoughts into the clone, at that point, are they actually going to grow to be different people? And also, who owns their past, right? All of the memories you have, your family, your upbringing and all that, who gets to claim that? Do you both get to claim that? What happens when that's in conflict,
This is very much that Star Trek episode where William Riker, in the past, during an emergency on one of the ships that he was on, he had a beam out, except the beam got split. The emergency situation on the ship meant that the ship thought, oh, if I don't restore him here, he's going to die. So he restores back on the ship. But the receiving ship had also picked up that, oh, this is the pattern, I can build him like this. So they also made Riker The Riker that got off went off and had a wonderful career. The Riker that was stuck was on his own for like 20 years.
Yeah, because isn't that how the transporters worked, right? It destroyed you and remade you somewhere else.
Yeah. It basically copied your quote unquote pattern and cloned you at the end.
Yeah.
So this just simply caused 2 clones. So which Riker was the real Riker, you know? Like all of the things that Nick just said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose like these themes actually really do feed into some of the underlying stuff of the podcast of there are clones involved in this story arc somewhere along the line. And yeah, at some point that will get explored because it's still not come back up at all since that one shot back in 2023. So yeah. And obviously also like it's a cyberpunk show. There's a certain amount of anti-corp and like revolution type stuff as well.
I was just going to bring that up because the answer to the question that, kind of story, I think something that isn't explored as some other things is how much of a person's life can effectively be owned before you, for all intents and purposes, own the person. Because, the corporation has its stipulations for how much time has to be spent working, being productive. And then outside of work, it's what products do you own and use? How do you spend that spare time? And how is that being manipulated with advertisements or things being made in a particularly addictive sort of manner?
Yeah. I suppose one of the reasons you all ended up working for the CSP is because you're not really allowed to be unemployed. You can't be an unproductive member of this society sort of thing.
Yeah, what happens when you let go from the monopoly to end all monopolies?
Yeah.
They let go of that ownership of you, and then how do you live in that system then? What does one do?
Yeah. One of the things I really enjoy about doing these interviews, and it has been a long time since I did the last one, is it just brings up so many extra things to think about and talk about, because largely I've developed the kind of backstory to this all on my own with occasional chats with people. But yeah, the opening it up to the players and their whims and intentions towards their own characters and stuff, and letting people further develop their backstories gives you so much extra fuel to work with when it comes to developing things.
You end up with particular angles of nuance that you would never have come across otherwise.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, as well as you lot, some of the players are just absolutely bonkers. The things they come out with, I'm like, I would never in a million years have thought of doing that. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, one thing I absolutely love is the T-Robot.
Oh, yeah. Sir Ingram of Flash Knuckle. Like what I was saying, you lot have all your office equipment and stuff, but I gave the players complete agency in what they wanted to build. And Mark came up with the T-Robot from nothing. Like, there was no prompting at all for a T-Robot. He's not even English. And he is, like, playing this English gentleman robot. He's Dutch.
Perfect.
We do have English people on the podcast. But, yeah.
I don't believe you.
It's another thing that I love about the show is because I've got so many players, like it's just immensely diverse, and we've got people from all over Europe and the US and different backgrounds and genders and stuff of their own. And everyone brings a slightly different angle to things. So yeah, we've got the T-Robot, we've got Jen who's playing the dino worker, and we've got a cowgirl. And yeah, all sorts. Like, it's funny actually with the cowgirl, she's got the sentient gun, but she often forgets that it's there when she's playing. So Casso's like goes a whole episode and then at the end remembers, oh yeah, Darlin's here. It has a little chat with Darlin. I'm like, how did you think that went?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing I sort of noticed, quite a lot of characters had sort of like mechanical drones, which is kind of why I went with Coil, because I thought it would just be neat to have an actual living sort of sidekick instead.
Oh yeah, and the drones really come into their own.
Yeah, I really like the way Whisper's going.
Whisper, it becomes its whole own character, and I love it so much. It's probably my favorite NPC, and I know you shouldn't have favorites, but it's mine.
Doris is everyone's favorite, you can just say it.
Doris isn't an NPC. Not really.
There is at least one documented instance of you calling Doris an NPC.
She was an NPC when I NPC'd her.
Yeah, Doris has been canonically an NPC.
But she would un-NPC herself at some point in the future.
That's what she considers being rehired to Amazing Corp.
Oh no. She's one of those people.
I suppose that is one thing. Like, do your characters have any dreams and goals? Obviously, Doris's is getting back into Amazing Corp, but like, is there any overarching ambition any of them have?
I think kind of Angel's goal is to actually, find a goal for herself. Because I think she was looking for a career. She tried Amazing Corp, that didn't work. But she's just got bad working habits now, so she's basically just slowly burning herself out.
So maybe like part of her renting her skills out to the highest bidder sort of thing is her trying to feel her way around and see who she gels with and stuff.
Yeah, but I think she's overworking herself, so I think her arc's more going to be about actually working out what she wants to do of herself.
Would she get more cybernetics and stuff to enable her to keep beating the burnout?
No, I think she'll just drink more and more coffee.
Fair.
To be fair, she's got coil to stop her going too far, I think, so.
Yeah, every time she's on her 20th cup of coffee, Coil just comes over and just puts a paw on it. Not this time.
Yeah. Or slips her a decaf so she gets knocked out.
Is that what happens if she has a decaf? She just falls asleep instantly.
Yeah, no caffeine. Boop, too much blood in this coffee system. Bloop.
Classic. How about Gwyn? Does Gwyn have any overarching ambitions?
I think as they lean into their own interests and jailbreaking various tech, it would probably end up being just wanting more and more of that independence, to not be reliant on Amazing Corp for anything. Like the end result will probably just end up being Gwyn being off the grid, effectively.
Yeah, I'm imagining them going fully underground.
Yeah. May or may not end up in touch with an anarchist group somewhere along the way, but that would be less about the actively getting into the fight and more of a background sort of just helping people out, just helping the common folk.
I was talking to Bree about this offline a little while ago. There is a faction that was created by one of the players during the DNA sessions called Cracks, who are kind of a off-the-grid commune kind of group within Paradigm City, who they've got little locations around where it's for people who have fallen through the cracks of society effectively, but they kind of live off the grid in terms of they don't associate with any Amazing Corp stuff and they live kind of disconnected from the main network and stuff. So I could totally imagine Gwyn falling in with that crowd over time, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds ideal, and Gwyn's got a particular set of skills that would be very useful to them as well. So,
yeah, and in fact, when I talked with Bree about this, we talked about her girlfriend, who is somewhat of an anarchist herself, who would be involved in this group.
Yeah, Angel had the corporate job, but was kind of a burnout and was a bit of a disaster. Whereas her anarchist girlfriend is obviously an anarchist, but actually has her stuff together and is achieving stuff and all that sort of thing.
And of course, the anarchist grandma.
Oh yeah. Well, everyone respects the anarchist grandma.
Of course. Maybe she'd even be like an elder within the Cracks or something.
Yeah.
That could totally be a thing.
Grandma kissed.
Grandma kiss, that's excellent.
Oh, God.
The foil to Doris.
Yeah.
Yes. And speaking of which, obviously Doris wants to get back into Amazing Corp.
Yeah.
Does she have any grander goals? Would she want to climb the ranks and somehow get into executive positions or anything like that?
I think that's the grand goal, is to someday work her way to the top, which she thinks is possible. I personally don't think that's something you can do in Amazing Corp. Corporate structures don't like that sort of thing. But yeah, she believes that she can get back in, work her way to the top, get her old job back first, and then just keep going and wield more and more power against people who are lower in the rungs than she is. Because she is ultimately, as a member of HR, an evil character, and yes, craves power. So yeah, that's the goal for her.
My God, she'd be the perfect Amazing Corp manager.
Yeah, that's what she believes as well. But Amazing Corp just don't see that right now. and hopefully they'll come around to it.
Maybe if she arranges the assassination of several heirs of amazing core execs, because most of them are probably going to end up being nepo hires otherwise.
So, funnily enough, when I was doing the player interviews last year, there was a good number of them that had the idea of they don't want to take down Amazing Corp. They just want to change the management structure there. So, Doris plays her cards, right? Maybe she could get someone to install her as CEO somehow. Oh, God.
It's going to happen.
Interesting
CEO
times.
Doris.
Oh, wow. Doesn't have any time to do exec stuff because she's playing Hyperbridge all the time. But
yeah, I mean, what exec does anything?
Yeah, no, fair. Very true.
Going back to the genre thing, one thing I do actually kind of like in Cyberpunk, and this is kind of controversial, is like it when it gets a bit to the supernatural. It's like there was the kind of horror session in the apartment block.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's none of that's really come back yet.
Yeah, because I kind of like it, when a sort of like a cyberpunk science fiction setting has psychic powers, or maybe something that could be psychic powers, or it just goes, you have something like Shadowrun, where it is straight up also fantasy stuff exists in parallel.
Yeah, there's been some allusions so far to like hive minds and cults and stuff. So I'm a big fan of horror. So if I don't think I've ever really been able to pull off a horror story in a game, but I'd love to try. So yeah, that could definitely happen.
Yeah, I mean, in my personal experience, when I've tried to run horror, I think the thing I always sort of did wrong was still sort of softballing the players a bit too much. Like with horror, you've really got to sort of be willing to kill a player.
You're too nice.
Character. Yeah.
No, you were right the first time.
Yeah, I think I always end up veering into silly. And yeah, horror can be fun when it's campy, but if you want to do like proper horror, then you've got to try and keep a lid on the silliness.
Yeah, that's always my problem as well. It's way too easy to do silly.
I mean, you've got stuff like The Evil Dead and Resident Evil that they can still be generally horrific with a bit of the campiness in there.
True.
Similar thought to agree with the intersection between sci-fi and the more fantasy sort of elements. Thinking more Ghost in the Machine sort of thing. Well, Ghost in the Machine / Matrix, where machines at a certain point take on more human-like characteristics. Some of them veer in a different direction, end up more terrifying in a biblically accurate angel sort of way, whereas others take a more insidious route, and it becomes really difficult to tell, the machine apart from the person. And then you have questions of what does it mean to be intelligent, and if a machine is perfectly mimicking a person, what is the salient difference between the two?
Yeah.
So you've got echoes of almost like ghosts of the past, as it were, being brought to life within the electronic system, the digital world. How that manifests in reality.
Enfys coming in at the end with the difficult questions here. Yeah, no, actually, and both of those themes are things that I have certainly set up situations where they can come forwards in Season 3. I like to leave doors if the players will go and open them. And it's good to hear that there is interest in generalized terms that these sorts of stories could exist in this system, in this world. So that's cool. Cool. Well, great. Thank you all for coming on and chatting to me. And yeah, we'll be seeing you all around and get you all back in as your characters sometime in the future.
Hype.
Much excited. Looking forward to it.
Remember, everyone, HR is not your friend.
You can check out all three of these wonderful people on their individual Twitch channels under His Cursedness, Bisected Brioche, or Enfys Prank. If you're a mech nerd too, you can also find all four of us playing Lancer every other Thursday on Keith's channel, Kane SD.